more for you, you feel it. You know it. This is your life, and it's time to go from contender to champion. This is The Show with John Madsen.
Welcome back to The Show, everybody. I'm your host, John Madsen. This is The Show. Super excited to be here with you today. I got a good show. I'm going to talk about goals and why people really have a hard time hitting them. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to really hit this from a different angle today. Before I get into that, I want you to head on over to johnmadsen.com, check out the new website, get on the mailing list. There's going to be weekly newsletters and a bunch of stuff that are in the works right now. So get on the early VIP list. You're going to get daily doses of inspiration, motivation, tactical stuff as far as nutrition and training, all the stuff that I talk about on the show in one place. And before I do get into today's episode, I do want to thank you for liking and sharing these episodes. Tag me on Instagram. Let me know that you're listening. There's people out there who've notified me that they've listened to every single episode. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm very gracious for all of your support. So this show is growing, and it's growing because of you. Send it to somebody who you think would benefit from it. And if you haven't already, please go to the iTunes store and leave a 5-star review if you think that this show is worthy. Now, I'm going to start today with a thought that I had as I was in the weight room yesterday, and it was this. True leveling up, the magic of truly leveling up happens precisely when your goal turns into a standard. True leveling up happens precisely the exact moment that your goal turns into a new standard. And if you take that and you think of it as like a staircase, and you hit a goal and then you cement it as a standard, and then you chase something greater and you hit that goal and you cement it as your new normal, that's how high achievers become high achievers. They do that over and over and over again. Amateurs do not do that. Amateurs keep having goals, usually vague goals. Amateurs usually don't write down their goals, and there's episodes after episodes on this podcast specifically where I talk about people sleepwalking through life. They don't know what they want. They have this vague overlying thought about what they might want, but it's not solidified. They don't put pen to paper and write that goal down every single day. They're not intentional. Okay. So the first step to going from amateur to professional in your life is being very intentional about what you think about, what your behaviors are, what your habits are, and ultimately knowing exactly what that outcome is. We talked last show about Tim Kite's formula, E plus R equals O, with O being this outcome. I'm going to talk about that O in today's show as being a goal that you have. So that O is a goal. And the magic, the true leveling up is only going to happen when that O is hit and you solidify it as a standard in your life. You see, amateurs, if they do have a goal, let's say that they join a program, and I did this over and over years ago when I had a physical location and I ran front end offers like 6-week challenges and stuff to get people into my world. I don't do that anymore because I realized this. Okay. And I thought that I would have a bigger effect on not letting this happen, but this is human nature. I would bring people in on the front end for a 6-week challenge, or people would get excited about a 90-day deal, whatever it is. And they do it and they hit the goal. Call it 20 pounds. In this instance, I ran this program where it was $500 if a person came in and lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, that I would give them the $500 back. And I did that so many times. I wrote so many refund checks because losing weight really isn't that hard, especially if a person comes in and has that 20 pounds to lose. This happened over and over and over again. The problem that I started seeing is because a person was monetarily motivated to hit this 20 pounds, they would go to extremes to do it. Even if it wasn't on plan, they'd hit the goal, get the check, take their picture, and then 6 months later, they gain the 20 pounds back. They never learn what to do. They never took that goal and made it a new standard. They were good at hitting a goal and then sliding right back to their old standards. Most people do that. Most people have a thermometer that's set. A thermometer for their financial success, a thermometer for their fitness success, a thermometer for their relationship success. And if they go a little bit above and beyond what that thermometer says, if it gets a little hot unconsciously, they'll sabotage themselves back down. So you see the trick of true leveling up, though, of true greatness happens for people that take that goal, they hit it, whether it's a financial goal. And even if they slide back a little bit over the next month or two, that goal that they hit it over and over and over again. And then it's a standard. They can never go back. That happens with intentionality. That doesn't happen on accident. And that's where amateurs go wrong in life. They have a goal, and if they do hit it, the goal is the goal, and they don't know how to solidify it, and they don't know how to level up even further. They don't know what's next. They don't know what's next because they don't truly know what they want. Okay? And there's a million episodes, not a million. I've done 130 episodes, 140 episodes on the show. And a lot of the underlying message is know what you want. Know what that outcome is. And here's one of the reasons if a person doesn't hit the goal. So let me just go back a little bit. If a person doesn't hit the goal, if you have a goal and you don't hit it, or you have an outcome that's in mind that you want and you don't hit it. Let's just say that you want to look like a Spartan. Let's say that you watched 300, you look at King Leonidas. I'm looking at him on my vision board right now, and you're like, I want to look like that. Or you're like, I want to look like John. You go to my Instagram, you see some pictures. I want to look like John. Or there's a fitness model, and you're like, I want to look like her. And then you get a coach like myself, and the first thing I would say is, awesome. Here's the outcome. Okay, here's the outcome. Let's solidify that. Let's make that a goal first, and then we'll cement it as a standard second. Here's what you need to do. We're going to have to change our thought process. Our thoughts are going to be a precursor to our emotional state. Our emotional state is going to affect our micro behaviors. Our behaviors are going to affect our result, and the result is inevitable as long as we can control the desire and the discipline. Okay, I've talked a lot about desire and discipline on the show and what's more important and what comes first. If there's no desire for that O, good luck getting it. There has to be some level of desire. Next, on certain days, that desire will go up and down. Sometimes that overriding desire is there, but there's multiple times I'm like, shit, I'm so busy. I can't go to the gym. I have this, and I don't feel like it. And then that's where that discipline has to come in and override that desire. So they work hand in hand. You need desire, you need discipline. There's a lot of shows I've done where I really hammered the desire part because that true desire, that true yearning for that outcome is very important. All the successful people I know have had it. They didn't arrive where they're at without that desire. Because no matter what, you're not going to have the discipline necessary if you don't have that want. So let's say that you do. Let's say that you have the desire. Some days, you feel it more than others, but the desire's there. Discipline kind of kicks in on the days that you don't feel like it, right? And helps you achieve the outcome because there's going to be things that is necessary for you to get the outcome. You see, a lot of people don't know what those things are. A lot of people don't understand what it really is going to take for them to get the outcome. So let's say, for example, you want to look like King Leonidas and you go to the gym and you're going to the gym 5 to 7 days a week. You buy a Peloton, you're doing spin classes, you're doing some yoga, you buy a couple books, you're doing the whole 30, you're trying to cut out processed foods and sugars and blah, 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 right? One, maybe nobody's told you how long it's going to take for you to look like Leonidas, for you to have those abs that are solid under there, because it's not a 6-week thing. It's definitely not a 12-week thing. Depending on what your training history and stuff, if you really want to look like that and embody it, you got to do what it takes. For me, I've worked out really pretty much nonstop since I was 16 years old. All natural, no performance enhancing drugs. It's hard for guys to stack muscle in that natural environment, but it's possible. You just have to understand what it's going to take. It's not going to take 6 months. It's not even going to take a year. But if you keep achieving little goals and then solidifying them as standards and cementing them and then shooting for higher goals, and you do that over and over and over again, and this fitness thing becomes you, it's inevitable how long it doesn't matter, I should say, how long it takes you to reach the outcome. You want it so bad and it becomes a part of who you are, you're just going to keep doing it. That's the right way to do it. But let's just say that you have this goal and someone says, okay, well, in order to achieve this goal, like, look, the first part of it is we got to lose 30 pounds. We got to lose 20 pounds. We got to strip that fat off. We got to get it 10% body fat. And then we got to stack muscle over time. And we're going to go through these cycles over and over and over again. And really, you're going to have to train in a way that stretches that progression. You're going to have to train in a way that you can feel that progression week after week, month after month. When you're a beginner, you can see that progression really rapidly. When you're intermediate, it happens a little bit more slowly. But over time, you got to get stronger. You have to lift with a barbell. You're going to have to get some calluses on your hands. Okay, you can't just go to your spin classes and group fitness classes and think you're going to look like King Leonidas. This is what you have to do. You're going to have to measure your food. You're going to have to understand calories and proteins and fats. And you're going to have to probably put, if you really want to get there and you really want to look like John or some of the people in John's program, you're going to have to measure that food, and you're going to have to know exactly what 6 ounces is or 9 ounces or 12 ounces. And you're going to have to get out measuring cups, and you're going to have to know if you're really eating a half cup or a full cup, and you're going to have to do that shit. Okay. But just so you know, that's what you're going to have to do. Are you willing to do it? And here's where Urban said something, and I'm going to say it a little bit differently, but here's the magic. If you have a goal, you're going to have to create the habits and behavior that match the goal. That makes sense. If you have a goal, if a team has a goal, if an organization has a goal, if you personally have a goal, you're going to have your habits and behaviors are going to have to be whatever they are to achieve that goal. Okay? So it helps to have a really good plan. It helps to know specifically what you need to do to get that goal. See, most people don't know that. They don't understand what it takes to be a champion. So they just go, a roundabout way doing a bunch of stuff because they're mistaking effort for effectiveness. And that's a whole other podcast. So many people mistake effort for effectiveness. They put all this effort in the wrong places. They're getting up, they're doing, 10,000 steps, which is good. They're going to the gym 7 days a week, but they're doing fitness classes and they're riding pelotons and they're doing cardio. But the one thing that's going to make all the difference, the nutrition part, they want to hack. They want to just cut out carbs, or they don't want to really truly understand exactly how much fuel their body needs to not only cut fat, but to stack muscle too. They don't want to go to the depth of what it's really going to take. So they're shortcutting one of the things that's going to make the most difference. Okay. And then they expect this outcome. So don't ever mistake putting effort in for being effective. So many people put effort in all the wrong places and they're not very effective. The trick is to put all the effort into a plan that is pretty much guaranteed to work, and put your effort in there, and you're going to have a straight line to success a lot faster. The way I do it, to be 100% honest, the way I went from, barely breaking even as a fitness coach to having months and a new standard that's $100K a month, is I paid people a lot of money to tell me the exact blueprint, where they sat me down and they said, John, this is what it's going to take. This is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to be a great fitness coach, but you're also going to have to learn marketing. You're going to have to learn how to write. You're going to have to learn how to be a master of persuasion. You're going to have to master suggestibility. You're going to have to become a leader. You're going to have these standards. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to ever reach this new level, or you're never going to reach that goal. You see, in that moment, I had to change my thoughts, my habits, and my behaviors to match the outcome that I wanted. Most people, though, are going to come up against something, and they're going to, in my world, when I coach them, there's certain people that when you tell them what it takes and what it's really going to take. Let's say, for instance, a person wants to get down to 10% body fat. They want to look Fight Club shredded, and you start to tell them that, look, man, you're going to have to measure your food. You're going to have to know exactly how much is in it. I'm going to manipulate your diet plan for you, and you're going to gain this understanding. And they're like, oh, John, you know what? I'm really busy, man. Like, we eat out all the time. That's just something, me and my wife do. We order out and we eat out, or my wife likes to cook and I don't know what the ingredients are. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we can get a little bit of a result, but you're going to have to change your outcome. See, that's what Urban said. And this is very, very true for you right now. You either change your habits and behaviors to match the goal, or you change the goal to match your current willingness of your habits and behaviors. I'll say that one more time because it's super, super important. You either change your habits and behaviors to match the goal, or you change your goal to match your current habits and behaviors. There's no other option. There's no other way. And as long as you're clear on that, and as long as somebody in your life can tell you that, you're going to be far better off. Because when guys come into my program and they're like, well, like I just said, John, I eat out all the time. I don't cook, man. I don't go grocery shopping. I'm busy, dude. Like I make $100K a month. I got a huge business. I got 100 employees. Okay. Not me, but if they're telling me that, and I'm like, cool, man. Like you said, you wanted this thing. So this is what it's going to take. You're either going to change your habits. You're either going to learn to go to the grocery store for your fucking self. You're going to learn to cook for yourself. You can tell your wife, like, look, wife, I got a really important goal. And I know that you love to cook and I love your cooking, but you know what? My new life, we're going to have to learn to cook with these parameters and eat this food because I want this goal and I'm willing to change it. That person's going to win. But the person that comes in with excusitis and tells me what they're not willing to do, I'm very, very clear. I'm like, awesome, man. Well, you're not going to achieve that. So let's just level down your goal a little bit. Sound good? Sound good? Like we're not going to get to 10% body fat like that, but we might get you down to 14. Is that cool? And if it's cool, that's cool. Like that's cool with me. I don't care what a person wants. I'm not telling you on the show what you should want. I know what I want. But whatever it is, whether it's financial or relationship or training and fitness, I know this. Whatever that outcome I want is, I got to have a plan that I know is going to work, and then I got to execute the plan 100%. And if I'm not willing to do what it takes, then I've got to change that outcome and go down a little bit. I've done this. I had a goal. I wanted to squat 500 pounds. And on my way to the goal, I kept jacking myself up and getting injured. And then it was hard for me to pick my daughter up and play with her. And so for me, I was like, you know what? Right now, I got to rehab that stuff. So I got to change the goal down a little bit. I got to change my training style a little bit. And that's okay, because what I thought I wanted, that I thought I wanted, is going to take something a lot more than I can give right now. At this stage, I'm not just that willing. You see, that takes a lot of pressure off myself because I know what it is I'm chasing. Okay. So the whole point of this show, and the thing that I really, really want to get across to you, is very, very simple. There's three things in this show that I really, really want you to take home, write down right now, and really think about. Number one is true leveling up happens as soon as that goal you hit becomes a standard. Okay, that's number one. Number two is don't ever mistake effort with effectiveness. And I'm going to do a whole show on this in the next little bit because this is huge. Don't ever mistake effort for effectiveness. You can be putting a ton of effort in the wrong shit if you're not doing the one or two things that's most necessary to help you reach that goal. That doesn't mean anything. You're not going to get the outcome you want. Okay, your effort has to be in the right places. And number three, your behavior and habits have to match what it takes to get the outcome you want. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you have to change the outcome. You have to change the goal. You have to bring the goal down a couple notches if you're unwilling to do what it takes. Champions do what it takes. A champion who I'm consulting with, whether it be in business or fitness, will be on the phone or on the Zoom call or face to face. And if we come up with a plan, I'm going to make them understand exactly what it's going to take. And they're either going to be willing to do what it takes to change those behaviors and habits to get the result, or they're going to be unwilling. And if they're unwilling, they're going to know that they're unwilling, and we're just going to lower that goal because that's the only way it can be. So think about those three things in your life today. Think about the goals that you have. If you don't have goals, I urge you to think big. Okay, I urge you to think big. That's one of the biggest things I can give any single person. And my message whenever I speak to children is think bigger than you believe is even possible, because that's magic. But in doing so, these other three things that I mentioned are super, super important. So as you're going along your day, I want you to think about the goals you have. Think about your willingness to achieve them. If you're not willing to do what it takes, I urge you to take the pressure off yourself and bring down the goal because otherwise you're just going to keep getting frustrated because you're never going to get the outcome if you're not willing to change the habits and behaviors that are necessary. I want you to think if you're being truly effective, if your energy is going into the right place. And I want you to think about if you are a person who's hit some goals, especially in the fitness world. I want you to think about solidifying them as new standards in your life. That's magic.
Thank you so much for joining us for another amazing episode of The Show with John Madsen. The greatest compliment that you could give us is liking, loving, and sharing this episode with all of your friends. So please go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and then share it online with everyone that you know. Make sure to tag John as well. He loves to hear from listeners of the show. The links for all of his socials and iTunes are in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to engage John for anything related to his coaching, consulting, or programs, please visit johnmadsen.com for everything you'd need to know on how to engage with John offline. And lastly, thank you for your time, your attention, and your consideration. This is The Show.